if you're holding Bitcoin and this is the first time you've had exposure to any assets, I think the next 6 to 12 months are going to be extremely difficult for you to navigate. The reason for this is that I personally think the price is going to go so high that you're going to want to sell because you're going to think that the price will come back lower. And I don't actually think that that's going to happen. I think the markets have completely changed. Bitcoin has completely changed. And I want to explain to you what exactly I mean by this with this tweet that I wrote out. So we'll start off here with holding Bitcoin over the next 6 to 12 months will be extremely difficult. BlackRock and MicroStrategy are going to force the price to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I know it sounds crazy. I know people probably think that I'm just making things up here. But I think, and this is not financial advice, I don't know if this is accurate or not. Who knows? Nobody knows what could happen by the end of 2025. But I think that Bitcoin should be between 200,000 and $1 million, somewhere between those, that area, between 200,000 and $1 million. I could be completely wrong. MicroStrategy just bought another 7,500 Bitcoin. BlackRock's been buying Bitcoin nonstop, and they're not going to slow down. I can tell you right now, most of their clients probably have zero allocation to Bitcoin. They probably have no allocation whatsoever. So they're not going to slow down. So when Bitcoin goes to 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, some people are obviously going to be sitting on the sidelines thinking we're going to come back down. But I think the price is going to go so high that those people won't be able to sit on the sidelines anymore. And the reason for that is because Bitcoin supply is finite. Once the people who hold Bitcoin and want to sell run out, to bring more Bitcoin to the market, the US dollar price is going to have to go up. It's going to have to rise to a point where people are willing to sell. So for example, at some point, the sellers at $100,000 are going to run out. This chart right here shows it really well, shows who holds Bitcoin. So we can see here, Satoshi holds about 1 million. Entities, I don't know who this includes, holds about 200,000. We can see at the bottom here, the lost estimation. That's at 7.5% of the total supply, so 1.5 million. We can see individuals hold about 15 million Bitcoin, so 70%. I honestly don't know where they get these numbers from. Maybe they're going with exchange balances, because you can't really know if somebody has Bitcoin. Let's say, for example, if BlackRock started mining 10, 12 years ago, they could have set up the equipment. They could have done it privately. There could have been governments doing it 10, 12, 15 years ago. So they don't know who actually owns this Bitcoin. I think these are just estimates because of that. The businesses hold 811,000. Funds and ETFs hold 1.25 million. And I think this number is going to keep rising and rising. I don't think these coins are going to come back to the market. So the lost coins. Governments hold 307,000 Bitcoin. This number is going to rise. We know that for sure. I think governments can't not hold Bitcoin, because if they don't, they're going to dissolve. They're not going to be able to keep up with the inflation in the US dollar. So the US government has to hold Bitcoin, and so do other governments. I don't think holding gold is going to help. Whoever makes the wrong decision here is going to lose. If countries want to back their currency with gold, their reserves are going to lose value in terms of Bitcoin. So whoever holds Bitcoin is going to have more and more power in the future economic structure of the world. Whoever holds Bitcoin is going to have the most power. I don't know what that's going to look like. I think most people are going to be using second, third, fourth, fifth layers on top of the base layer of Bitcoin. We're not going to have final settlement on every transaction. We're not going to need it. So I think what's going to happen is that these two entities are going to try to hold a lot of Bitcoin. Usually businesses and funds or ETFs, like private investors, individuals, are much, much faster than governments. So I think what's going to happen here is these entities are going to pay these entities so much money. So, sorry, not these entities, just individuals. They're going to pay them so much money that they're going to have to sell their Bitcoin. Keep in mind that out of these 14.69 million Bitcoin, a lot of people probably don't understand what Bitcoin is. A lot of people really don't know where it's going. The majority of people here probably think that it's just another part of their portfolio. They're just holding it because they want more fiat. That's it. Like, they're going to sell. and there's a lot of individuals who, let's say they're whales, so they have 1,000 Bitcoin, and they might get cocky. They might think there's always been cycles, so I'll sell at the top and I'll buy at the bottom. So what's going to happen? Here's at least what I think is going to happen here is an individual is going to sell their Bitcoin. They're going to expect that cycles will go the same way as previous cycles, and they won't. That's it. They won't, because previous cycles were fueled by individuals buying and selling and gambling, really. Now, if governments start buying Bitcoin, if these ETFs and funds start buying Bitcoin, if these businesses start buying Bitcoin, they can sell their assets, their other assets, and they can buy Bitcoin with them. So let's say BlackRock's clients, they can sell all the real estate they own. A lot of their clients are probably boomers, and they own a lot of real estate. So they could sell their real estate and transfer it into Bitcoin. And then all of these businesses here, we have Michael Saylor just teaching everybody how to do things, and nobody's really following his path, even though he's outperforming massively. So for example, Microsoft's shareholders said they don't want to own Bitcoin. All of those businesses are going to own Bitcoin in the future. It's just going to cost them a lot more. If MicroStrategy keeps buying Bitcoin, and then we have a number 2 who wants to compete with MicroStrategy and they start buying Bitcoin, then we have number 3, number 4, number 5. They all start competing with MicroStrategy. And they all want Bitcoin. There's only 21 million. They're going to somehow have to get these people to transfer their Bitcoin over to these people. That's what the goal here is. So the goal here is to convince these people to move their Bitcoin to these people and these people. So we go back to what I was saying there with most of these people not understanding what they own. A lot of these people are going to sell at 150,000, 200,000, 300,000. How do you think MicroStrategy is buying 8,000 Bitcoin? How do you think they bought 8,000 Bitcoin last week? Because these people sold. Because some of the people that are holding the ETFs and the funds are selling. This Bitcoin can't be moved. This Bitcoin can't be moved. This Bitcoin you can't do anything about. So how much Bitcoin is there really? A lot of these people are probably holding until 250,000, 300,000, 500,000. I get a lot of messages from people saying Bitcoin's never going past $1 million. It's never going past $500,000. So do you think that those people are going to hold when it reaches that price? Maybe they will. But I think people have these estimates of where this cycle is going to end. I think people are thinking where this is going, and they're going to give away their Bitcoin. They're going to get back monopoly money. They're going to get back money that can be printed. I think that the businesses and the funds and the ETFs, these are people who want to own Bitcoin. They're going to convince these people who don't really understand what they own to sell their Bitcoin, and then they're never going to sell it back to them. Never, ever. They're never going to get it back. They're going to sell it for 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, $1 million, $10 million, $15, $20 million, and then they're never going to get it back because they're being paid in a form of money that can be printed out of thin air. It can be created out of nothing. So let's go back to the tweet. BlackRock and MicroStrategy are going to force the price to hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you're going to be tempted to sell. If you do it, congrats, you made a massive profit in terms of US dollars. You can go and enjoy that money. Do it. If that's what you want to do, then do it. I'm not telling you what to do. Who knows? Maybe you perfectly timed the market. Maybe you sell the top and then you get in at the very bottom. But you have to consider taxes. So if, let's say your profits are a certain amount, let's say your profits are 90%. Let's say you bought at the very bottom, you sell at 150,000. So you went from 15,000 all the way to 150,000. You sell, let's say your profits are 90%, and you have to pay 20% in capital gains. You have to make sure that after that 150,000, Bitcoin's price drops to at least 120,000. That's for you to break even. So it needs to drop even lower for you to actually be able to buy the same amount. Think of this logically. What if that never happens? What if it goes to 150,000 and it never comes back down? There's going to be a point when that happens. I can tell you there's going to be a point. I don't know when it'll happen, but I think that the people who understand Bitcoin are buying so much of it, and the people who don't understand it are selling it to them. And those people who don't understand it, the people who didn't study it yet, are going to lose out on this Bitcoin and they're never going to get it back. So remember, you may never be able to buy that amount of Bitcoin back because the institution buying for dollars today will never sell for dollars. They're not going to sell for dollars. They're just going to hold on to that Bitcoin. They're going to use it as collateral. They're going to borrow more dollars against it, and they're going to devalue the dollars that they gave you. Don't fall for their games. They want your Bitcoin. They're going to take it from you. They can print more money. They can get more money. The people who own the assets today can borrow against their assets to buy your Bitcoin from you. The system is rigged against us. Don't fall for the part of it that's rigged. That's it. So the people who own real estate today, they can go to a bank, have it create more dollars out of thin air, out of nothing, and they can pay you with those dollars to take your Bitcoin from you. If you don't understand how rigged this game is, you're going to sell. I'm telling you right now, you're going to sell. You're going to give away your Bitcoin. You're going to give away your freedom. You're going to give away your wealth. You're going to give away your future, your children's retirement, your grandchildren's retirement, your entire lineage's retirement. You're going to give it away for something that can be printed, something that can be created out of nothing. So make that decision however you want to. But the way that I see it, the same people that are selling their stock today will be working for that Bitcoin in the future. So if you go to a job, you're going to be paid in Bitcoin. Today, if you're making $30 an hour, you can make 30,000 Satoshis if you're in the US. 30,000 Satoshis per hour. This number is going to drop to 300 Satoshis. It's going to drop to 200, 100 Satoshis per hour. So right now you can make 30,000 Satoshis per hour with your dollars. In the future, you'll be able to make 100 Satoshis, 200, 500 Satoshis per hour. And what that means is in the future, you're going to have to work 60 times as hard to get the same amount of Bitcoin. So why would you wait for the future to accumulate Bitcoin? You don't even have to buy that much. Even if you buy a dollar's worth, $1, $1 a week, everybody can do that. Everybody can buy $1 a week. You can sell something you don't need. You can cut out your coffee, cut out something. That $1 a week is 14 cents a day. I know you have 14 cents a day lying around to buy Bitcoin with. I know it. Check your couch. I don't know what you can do. Do what you can. Find some money to put into this because it's going to cost you a lot more in the future. And if you don't want to do this, perfectly fine. I want you to comment below. Leave your thoughts on why you think that I'm wrong. And in 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, people will come back to those comments. People will be looking at this video years from now. Save this video. Make sure that you have this video so you can critique my thoughts on this. I personally think that this number and this number are going to go up a lot more. So it's going to go from 5.9% to 6.9, 7.9, 8.9, 10, 20. Actually, no, I don't know if it's going to go to 20. It's going to go higher. I think this number is also going to go a lot higher. I think this number is also going to go a lot higher. This is the update that River posted in December 2024. So I'll say this. Maybe I'll do a review on this. Maybe I'll go to a more recent version of it in December 2025. So let's see what happens. Maybe I'll be right. Maybe I'll be wrong. Who knows? Let's see. The main takeaway here is don't sell your Bitcoin. It doesn't matter how high the price goes. Sell some to live on. If you want to improve your life, that's perfectly fine. But don't sell your entire stack. So if you have, let's say you have 0.1 Bitcoin. At some point, that 0.1 Bitcoin is going to be worth $100,000. Maybe you can sell $1,000 worth to go on vacation. Maybe 2,000, whatever you want to sell. It's up to you, however much you want to sell. Maybe by then you'll have more. But if you need to sell to improve your life, perfectly fine. If you need to celebrate a win, go for it. I'm actually very happy if you're going to do that. And I'd be very happy if you would go on a vacation, if you did take some time off, take some time to spend with family, friends, build your relationships. That would be great. But don't sell your stack to hold US dollars. I get nothing out of telling you this. If anything, I'm losing out by telling you this. I should be telling you to sell because if you sell, then I get to buy back cheaper. There are enough people in that individual category that will sell their Bitcoin to all these institutions. I want you not to fall for it. Think of it logically. Think of it from the perspective of these institutions. They want more Bitcoin. If they can give you more pieces of paper for that Bitcoin, then they will. They have the advantage here. All you can do is go to your job, create value, exchange that value for Bitcoin. Let's say you have $30 an hour. You can only put away $1, buy 1,000 Satoshis. That's great. If you can only buy 1,000 Satoshis a week, good for you. Do it. At some point, 10,000 Satoshis is going to seem like a lot of money. If you can buy 1,000 Satoshis a week, that's 52,000 Satoshis a year. If you can, keep improving your skills, keep trying to create more value, increase how much you can put into Bitcoin, cut your expenses. If you have to, maybe start eating out less. Like I said, get less coffees. Do something. Create more value. Go on Twitter and start making posts. Eventually, you'll get monetized. If you can make $5 a month from Twitter, that's great. Any money that you can spare for the next 4 or 5 years, put it into Bitcoin. I think this is going to be one of the best financial decisions that our generation is going to make. I'm a millennial. I hope that other millennials take this advice, this guidance, and study Bitcoin. I don't care if you buy it. Don't even buy it. You don't have to go based on my advice to buy Bitcoin. Just study it. Understand what it is, see where it's going, and then make your own decision. I think that could be a really great way for you to build wealth for your future. And keep in mind that this group of people who actually hold this Bitcoin is a very concentrated group of people. So they probably hold 100, 50, 1,000, 10,000 Bitcoin. And they're selling that Bitcoin. They're giving it away. Eventually, those people are going to run out. The people who are willing to sell at $100,000 are going to run out because Bitcoin is a finite asset. You can't create more of it. You can't keep adding more and more of it to the economy. So eventually, the people who are willing to sell at these prices will run out. And what we're going to see is that Bitcoin's price goes higher and higher and higher. Eventually, there are going to be people who are willing to give away their rental properties to buy Bitcoin. I personally think that Bitcoin transactions for real estate are going to become very popular over the next couple of years. The people who are stacking today, let's say you can buy 1 Bitcoin. And at some point, you really want to buy a house. At some point, you can give away half a Bitcoin to buy a house. A lot of people are going to give away their Bitcoin to buy houses, to improve their lifestyles. Half a Bitcoin is going to take you extremely far. I think half a Bitcoin is going to be way too much. I don't think you need half a Bitcoin. But let's say that you have half a Bitcoin after you buy that house. Think about how much you've improved your life because of Bitcoin. You've transferred wealth from the people who own real estate today, the people who aren't educated on how Bitcoin works, and they want to hold this antiquated store of value that costs way too much, that has way too much liability, and they want to hold it as a store of value, and they want to ignore Bitcoin. Eventually, what's going to happen is their houses, today they're worth 4.5 Bitcoin. You can buy 1 Bitcoin for $100,000. Eventually, those houses are going to be worth 1 Bitcoin, 0.5 Bitcoin, 0.25 Bitcoin. As demand for Bitcoin goes up, as the businesses and as the funds buy and never sell again, we're going to see that there's less and less Bitcoin available chasing houses. In terms of dollars, those houses are going to keep increasing in price, but dollars are an illusion. It doesn't even matter. The price of houses in dollars doesn't even matter because it's always going to go up. This is the real money here. So these people are going to give away some of their Bitcoin over time to improve their lifestyles. If you've done that, comment below. I feel like those stories are really cool for people to read. If you're selling Bitcoin to just sell because you think it's not going to go up anymore, you think it's going to come back down, that's a very stupid decision. If you're selling Bitcoin to improve your lifestyle, perfectly fine. I think that's a great decision. So you should do that. Don't sell your Bitcoin to BlackRock unless you really, really need to. If you need to go for a medical procedure or something, if your family needs to get a medical procedure, that's different. You can't get your friends back. You can get back that Bitcoin. Let's say, for example, if you pay for that medical procedure and you instantly start working harder, get back that Bitcoin. That's fine, but you can't get your family back. If your family passes away, that's not something you can reverse. So buy as much Bitcoin as you can. Hold on to it as long as possible. Don't get distracted by the US dollar price because the US dollar price is a complete illusion. We're going to see $1 million, $10 million, $100 million as more and more banks, more and more governments start printing money. to buy Bitcoin. If you can hold on over the next bull market, over the next bear market, and the next bull market, I'd say at least until 2030, you could completely change your family's life.